Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hendra Febrianto Arsyad, and my registration number is A1M2 18039. On this occasion, I will continue the explanation from my friends about the design feature of language. The four design features of language that have been singled out for more detailed discussion in this section: arbitrariness, duality, productivity, and discreteness are, as we have seen, interconnected in various ways. Whether they are to be found in any semiotic system other than language is questionable. If we define the nature of the putative association more closely, we will find, as we shall see in our discussion of behaviorism below, that very many language utterances have no discernible association with any independently identifiable external feature. There is little point in adopting a definition of semanticity which has unfortunate consequence that it allows as meaningful and enormous variety of behavior, both human and not non-human, and yet exclude a considerable amount of obviously meaningful language behavior. Discussion of this question is complicated by the fact that in the case of non-human semantic system, it is often difficult to decide whether a particular signal conveys information about the sender or about the environment. The main point to be made here is that there are certain kinds of meaning that appear to be unique to language, and there are other which language shares with non-human semiotic system. This is the property of language which makes it possible for us to refer to objects and events that are remote in time and place from the act of utterance itself. The term displacement can be traced back to the behaviorist conception of language and meaning, according to which the primary function of word and utterance is to refer to feature of the immediate situation with which they are associated as stimuli to response, are the correlation of language expression with object and even outside the situation of utterance is a matter of secondary development. Hockett, Hockett maintains that specialization is a matter of degree, and that the most that one can say about language in this respect is that it's so much more extensive specialization than no example of animal communication. This is opposite to genetic transmission, and it has to do with the fact that the ability to speak a particular language is passed on from one generation to the next by teaching and learning, rather than by instinct. The difference between language on non-human semiotic system in respect of cultural transmission is now, therefore, very clear-cut. This is the property which makes it possible for any human being of whatever race of ancestry to learn in childhood and language and any language equally well. As with cultural transmission, it is difficult to decide to what degree learnability, in this sense, applies in non-human semantic system. All about need to be said here is that As far as we know, no non-human semantic system other than language have this property. By verification, it is mean the possibility of using a semantic system to deceive or misinform. Many authors consider the prevarication is the property which, with reflexivity, more most clearly distinguish language as a semantic system from all other signaling system. As used in relation to the example, misplacement looks suspiciously like a behavioristic term that is introduced in order to describe a characteristic feature of language behaviors which is more accurately described as freedom from stimulus control. We have now covered in greater or less detail all the design features which have been proposed by Hockett for the classification of semiotic system. The most obvious conclusion to be drawn from our discussion is that no classification based simply on the number of property manifest by particular system is likely to be of much theoretical interest. It does not follow, of course, that a more sophisticated classification of semiotic systems in terms of their feature would necessarily fail to correlate in the same way. It might even be the case that a suitable measure of grammatical complexity and of the different kind of meaning that various semantic systems can express would of itself serve to classify those systems more satisfactorily than the rather disparate this we have considered in this section. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you for attention. Wabillahi taufiq walhidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.